Hi guys, it's Jamie, and today I have a video for all you 16-year-olds out there or someone who's just looking for a job. I came up with some tips on getting your first job. So if you're new and have never seen this channel before, make sure to subscribe and let's get on with the video. So a little backstory, just about a month ago I got hired at my very first job. I am 16 and I've had about 4 shifts so far where I'm working, so I'm fairly new to the working industry, I guess, but I did go through the entire applying process and I have some tips that hopefully will help you guys get your first job. My first tip would be to apply to multiple places. So sometimes it takes people a long time to get back to you, if at all, and you don't want to have your heart set on just one place. So apply to multiple places when you're thinking about getting your first job. That way you have your options. I kind of will give you guys like little not tips, but like kind of, I'll tell you about my story as I tell you each tip, but I personally, I'm not gonna say where I work at, but I luckily applied to one place and I got hired there, so I got lucky that way, but that's not always how it happens. So my first tip would be to apply to multiple places. My second tip is one of the biggest ones, and that is to hand your application in person. Now, in my situation, the store was not open at the time, so I had to send mine in online. But that, you don't get the verification knowing that your application was seen by someone, knowing somebody looked at it. So hand your application in person. Fill out the actual paper form, go to the store, and hand it in person. So now my third tip goes along with number 2, and that is to, when you go to the store, ask for a manager. This is huge because half the time you don't know if the manager's even going to see the application. If you just hand it off to some random employee, how are you going to trust them? So for example, I've worked multiple shifts at my store, and I've had people just come up to me, not say their name, not say a word, hand me their application and walk away. And I've been with co-workers at the time who are maybe in college and have been working at the store for years now, and they kind of laugh at it because how are you supposed to work in a social setting if you're not even going to introduce yourself? Like, how do you expect to get hired? You have to leave a good impression for that first time. So ask for a manager, introduce yourself, and yeah. So my fourth tip is prepare for an interview. You never know when this is going to be. You can look up some questions online. So funny story. So I originally applied online for my place and I never heard anything back. So I really wanted to work through this place. So I filled out a hard copy of an application and I put it in there, and right away she pulled me back for an interview. I was not expecting this, so I was not prepared. So hopefully you guys learn from me and are more prepared. And by this I mean kind of search some questions online that are normal interview questions. Some types of things you'll get asked are, tell me about yourself, what are some of your good qualities. I'll go into more questions in the next couple of tips, but just make sure to be prepared because you never know what's going to happen. Like me, I wasn't expecting an interview, but I got one, so just be prepared. Number 5 is when you get that interview, if you do, make sure you're incorporating the best qualities for the job in the questions they ask you. So say they ask you, what are your best qualities? You don't want to say, oh, I'm good at science. Because, okay, here's an example. Say you're applying to be a waitress and you say you're good at biology. They're not really like looking for that. You want to say, oh, I'm very social, I have good talking skills, stuff like that that relates to the job that will make you look like a good person to hire. So for me, I could have said like, I'm very organized. Yes, that's nice and that helps, but saying something like, I'm very good with people say I'm very friendly, something that relates to the job you're applying for, if you guys know what I mean. Number 6 is prepare for difficult questions. This I also didn't do, but so on my interview I got asked a very difficult question, which is, what would your worst enemy say about you? You might not be asked the specific question, but you might be asked something hard like, tell me what your worst quality is. And that is a tough question because you don't want to reveal to them something that they won't hire you for, but they're expecting an answer, and funny story for me. I honestly could not think of an answer because what are you supposed to say? Oh, I'm super rude to people. Like, no, you have to keep something that's still good. So maybe you might get asked that question, prepare an answer ahead of time, and just think of like something that's bad about you, but isn't too bad, if you know what I mean. And my last tip, number 7, is to make connections. Now this also relates to my story, and always trust your parents, they know best. So for the job I was applying to, they have a couple different locations, and one of my friends, she's an upperclassman, she's kind of my friend. She works at a different location, but these stores have the same owner to the place where I was applying to. So I had my interview, and when I got back from the interview, they said they're gonna call me, they're gonna talk it over, you know, like they do. And so my dad recommended, why don't you talk to that girl and see if she can leave in a good word for you. So you don't need to be like, oh, beg them to hire me. Like, no, that's a little bit stupid. Just say, hey, if anything comes up, leave a good word in for me, or ask them if you could just mention that I'm responsible or whatever, some good quality about you, because that really helps you over if they're picking between 2 people, they're going to pick the one that an employee that already works there recommends. So in my situation, the girl ended up texting the manager that was hiring me, and she called me right away after that saying, oh, I heard this and this about you, and we'd like you to come in for a second interview. So basically, thanks to this girl, I got my job because I made a connection. So if you guys know somebody that already works at the store you're applying for, or some sort of connection, ask them to put a good word in for you, because it will really help you in the long run. So those are all my tips for getting hired, applying for a job, but I have a couple more for if you actually get the job. So first, most jobs, you're never going to have a 2-hour shift. So if you don't have the time, don't make the commitment. Another thing is, for most jobs, you're gonna need to know how to count change. So either practice it or get better at your mouth skills, because you need to know how to count change. For example, my job, say they ordered something specific, there's a button that we can press what that item is, and it comes up and it tells us what amount to get out, and then it tells us how much we have to pay them back. And normally in cents, it's something like 84 or 76 cents or something. There's never really anything exact. So you have to be able to count, oh, 75 plus 10 plus 5 plus a couple ones in cents. So make sure you know your cents. One thing I didn't really know when I was, as you guys know, this was my first job, so I didn't really know what to expect. And the best thing I can tell you is early is on time is late, and late is not acceptable. So if you're wondering, oh, it's my first day, what time should I go? Say my shift's at 3, don't be at the store at 3, be at the store at 2:50. That way they know you're responsible, they can count on you to get there on time. It just leaves a better representation of you if you get there a little bit early, and it doesn't hurt anyone to get there early. And yeah, that's basically all the tips I have. Hopefully this helped out some of you guys. If any of you are trying to get a job right now and end up getting it, let me know in the comments, because I want to hear all your stories. And yeah, make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like advice/tips videos. Also, make sure to subscribe if you're new. I know a lot of you guys are not subscribed, so make sure to if you've never seen this channel before. And also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at JamKayBeauty. If you're new, this channel is actually a 2-person channel. I'm Jamie, and Kayleigh is normally with me. But just to update you guys a little bit, I'm currently working, which is kind of crazy because a lot of my days are full. And I have a bunch of other things going on. And Kayleigh currently in dance company for our school. She is doing musical rehearsals, so she's there almost every day. So it's very difficult for the 2 of us to get together and film. And so that's making it very hard for us to film at all. So if you see a bunch of videos of just me for a while, or just a little bit, that's why. Kayleigh is extremely busy, and I can't blame her for that. And so I hope that that's okay with you guys, that just for now it's going to be me for just a couple videos, and that's just so we can stay consistent and upload. But she will be back, and that's just a little update for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed. See you next week. Bye. So baby, if you want me